Looking good, looking good. Welcome back, guys. Last video you saw the engine was in. So now I am placing the body and making sure I have everything squared away for the body to mount to the frame. I haven't cut off any frame mounts yet because that's hard, or at least hard in my mind. I wanted to do the easy things first, and things that don't involve cutting and welding are easy to me. So we'll turn around here and you can see what I've got going on here. As you can see, I have the body, at least the front and the tub, placed, going through measurements the way I've kind of got it. So as you can see here, that's my mount at the moment. So for the rear, 70 series, actually let me go show you the 70 series frame. So what I'm kind of doing is, alright, so here is the rear cab mount on the 70 series. It sits to this flat part below the bowl, is about an inch above the frame rail. The 80 series sits about a ½ inch below the frame rail. So the way I'm kind of doing my measurements is I'm using that rear cab mount for the 80 series because that will be the same mount location for the 75. So that's why, as you saw, I had and we'll take another look here. I have the 2x4 makes up, that's an inch and a half. That's what I'm lacking from where this part mounts to the frame on a 75. So once I got that mount, that is the 80 series mount. That is in the proper spot. That's my 1.5 inches that I'm making up for the 75. So that is where the orientation should be for the mount. And I'm going to double check it a million times. And if y'all comment below if y'all see something that's wrong in my measurements, I'll fix. So, and then going to the front cab mount. Right now I just have some cinder blocks with a frame stand, and right now it's not touching, which is weird. So in my math I'm measuring from this to here, and it should be touching, which I need to figure that out why, but we'll go up to the front because everything's kind of sitting right here at the moment. This is where that mount needs to be associated with the 80 frame as of now. The few other people that have done 80 chassis with 79s, they show the same thing, where this mount is way up. So I think I'm good there, and I actually am going by Toyota specs of the way the 75 cab mounts, using the rear cab as your level, and then the rise going to the front, and just making sure the mounts are the equivalent in rise as they go up for the cab mount. So this thing right now it looks huge. 35-inch tires and 4 inches of lift, which is the exact same thing as you can see to the 80. So that is a 75 front, 80 front, same suspension, same basically, both have 35s, both have the same 4-inch comp springs, but right now because of the weight, this one is sitting, or actually, yeah, so this one is sitting about 2.5, 3 inches lower at the moment than this. So that is a big difference, a good 3 inches of weight, or I'm adding enough weight that where that should drop 2.5 inch, 3 inches down. So we're a little higher than ride height. The other thing I am noticing is, so this engine is slightly different than the one I had in the 80. This one, I assume, just my guess, came out of a bus. The reason I'm saying that is, so this dipstick tube was mounted like this. The only way you're going to keep that in your engine bay is if you have a big old engine bay, which these were in a lot of school buses here in the States. The other thing I noticed is, so this is a higher intake horn than I have on the 80. Actually, let me pop the hood on the 80 so we can kind of compare. As you can see, my dipstick comes underneath the horn and is about 3 inches shorter than that thing that is like 6 feet long. Intake horn, you can see, is definitely smaller. I measured, it's about an inch shorter, this one. And they also make a low profile one that's even shorter than this. I don't know how much. And then as you look, the orientation of the fuel lines comes out and then goes horizontal with the ground to make it under here. Now, over here, they stay vertical. And I don't know, I assume I'll have enough room to get the shorter intake horn. I'll have to measure here to here on the 80 and then here to here on this one to see if I'm going to clear that or if I need to spend the money on getting all these lines for the flat horizontal rather than the vertical. I don't think I will, but we'll see. Another thing is the way so this was the old throttle cable here. Basically, if you can see, pulls up on that for fueling, as you can see coming out there. So that's a little different than the 80. The 80 is, my bracket is up here, and it basically runs the rod back to there, and then that moves as I throttle. I don't know if you can see that move in there. That's how this throttle works. I think either way will work. I mean, I'm just running my throttle cable here through the firewall to the pedal, just like anything that drives by wire. On this one, so I assume, I'm guessing this is where the throttle cable comes out, and it looks like just bending that over that way to the pedal works just as good with this orientation rather than having everything over here. One of the things I noticed was when I rebuilt my vacuum pump power steering on the 80, it was a bitch to get out because of all this crap and the fender. This one looks, with having this back here, I can get that out a lot easier if I need to. That's a simple like $30 rebuild in parts. I'll probably rebuild that before I square this one away. That way it's done, I don't have to worry about it. I don't think any of this linkage is going to get in the way of the brake booster, but we'll find out that soon enough. The major thing I have right now is the hood doesn't close because of the intake horn. And let me show you where I'm at right now. So that's basically how much my hood is stuck on the intake horn. Alright, so I took grid heater off. As you can see, got a big hole in the intake now. This is the grid heater. Just basically from the relay to poles, and this thing glows red hot, just like your space heater in your house. There is the intake, and now I'm going to see if the hood closes. Alright, we'll try to close the hood here. Alright, hood closes. Move my fenders over. Alright, that's how it should fit. Looking good. Looking good. Fenders obviously need to come in, but that's just mock-up. But There you go. That's the way it's going to look. Yeah. So hood fits with the engine. Now we're just going to work on intake horn. Now I'll test fit just the grid heater delete. So we'll have to get a low profile intake horn and go from there, which that's just, you know, the first of many probably modifications I'm gonna have to figure out to make this work. I think those intake horns run anywhere from $100 to $300, depending on if you want boost ports in them and stuff like that. So I'll have to look that up and see where that goes. But I'm pretty stoked right now. I got something that looks like a truck. Now I don't have inner fender wells in. As you can see, I have a zip tie holding this onto this, and I really only put this on for looks. Same with the lights. I got one bolt holding those on, 3 bolts holding the fender on right now to the cab, and that's it. Then 2 zip ties on this side. So there you go. That is where I'm at right now, and I will start once I get the body perfectly lined up to where I like it, and then I will remove everything, cut off the frame brackets, and start figuring out mounts using the old cardboard cutouts, and then trace the cardboard onto steel, cut them out, weld them together. So there you go. Little by little we're getting there. I'm still a long ways off, but thanks for those who's watching. If you just tuned in, subscribe to the channel so you will be ready for the next video. I'm going to try to keep things moving quick here. So I will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.